Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Short of the Long, episode 4, addressing. So there are 8 different modes of addressing data. 3 of these modes are used in the MIPS CPU. Here is a listing of all of them. The ones in the yellow area are the ones used by MIPS. And not surprisingly, the ones that are used by MIPS are also the most popular ones and the ones that are most often used. So let's talk about one of them. Absolute addressing is probably the simplest one. Let's get some sample code up here. This is a sample code of MIPS as you would see it as you're coding. If you notice up here, we do a .data declaration where we declare X as a word that has 10 bits. And down in the main section, we see that we are trying to load the value of X from the memory into the register 2. We are trying to add 1 to that register, 1 to the value of that register, and then store that value back into X in the main memory. Now, what may not be apparent is that X is actually a stand-in for a number. The address is actually a number. So here we'll use the example of the hex number 0x0100. And so the way this kind of addressing works is we start off with the value in parentheses. For absolute addressing, the value will always be 0. So we use $0. We then shift by the amount that is the number in front of the parentheses. So we shift down and down from 0 to get to a certain memory address which has a certain value. And then so for this specific command, load word, we will take that value and we will put it into the register 2. Now, for indirect addressing, things are somewhat different in that we take the value that is stored in the register and we find that address in the memory, and then we don't shift at all, we don't offset at all. It's always 0 out front in front of the parentheses. Now for displacement addressing, it's a mix of the two. So you have the value in the register, you get that value, you find that address in the memory, and then you can displace it by a value as well. And so that concludes this episode of The Short of the Long. Stay tuned for the next episode, episode 5, which will be procedures and stacks.
Hold on to your butts.